'Twas the Raw before Christmas, and all through the arena, it's pretty good. It's a Christmas miracle, you guys. Welcome to Sour Graps. I'm your host, Alex Pawlowski. Everything normally sucks, but maybe I'm in the Christmas spirit. Maybe I'm in a festive kind of mood because, go figure, a holiday week pre-taped episode of Raw was like really decent, like decent verging on good to very good. Not great, but very good. There was some stuff not so good, but some really good stuff. Like some really good stuff. So let's talk more about it. I'm still under the weather. I'm going to be chewing on cough drops through this whole thing, or I'll be able to get through it. So apologies to everyone for my chewing on cough drops and whatnot. But my daughter is almost 3, so this is the first time I'm actually like putting out Santa's gifts around the tree, because we're also doing our Christmas morning tomorrow morning, Christmas Eve morning, because of the in-laws thing. It's a whole deal. You don't even need to know. But so there's the stockings are hung by the chimney with care in hopes that Samoa Joe's a badass motherfucker, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Raw. You may remember that they taped Raw, this Raw, last week in the same arena they actually did the other one. So there's a lot of continuation of stuff that they didn't talk about. They have an obsession with lying to their viewing public as though what we watched tonight didn't take place a week ago, mere hours after the matches that preceded it. They kept talking about how it's Randy Orton's been having rehab on his knee for a week. No, he didn't. He had a match later the same night, and you're lying to us. I mean, I guess, keeping it kayfabe, but it's a weird deal that they do when they do this, where they insist on, you don't have to say, oh, by the way, we totally taped this last week. Sorry. You just don't have to draw attention to the fact that it's not live by saying that it is live when it's totally not live. It's just a thing. It's a pet peeve. But again, good. Kevin Owens did not appear on last week's Raw as to sell the beatdown he got from Seth Rollins in the AOP. But he comes out to start out the night to a big pop. Everybody loves Kevin Owens, although I will say I was having trouble figuring out which pops were canned and which pops were real, because, with a week of, the same way that Randy Orton can get rehab on a week, on his knee for a week, they certainly rehab some bad crowd reactions auditorially if they need to. So I'm not sure if they did any of that. I expect they did occasionally, because there's only so much WWE main roster wrestling you can watch, and these people were subjected to like 5 hours of it in a row. It's not like it's WrestleMania, it's Raw. So I'm assuming they were a little less enthusiastic than they wanted them to be by the end of this thing. But anyway, Kevin Owens comes out and he's going to say some things, presumably to AOP and Seth Rollins. But then Mojo Rawley comes out. Remember that deal that he was doing when he was looking in a mirror and the mirror got smashed? So then he drew crazy glass shards on his face with blue Sharpie. They're not doing that anymore. It's a weird deal that they could do stuff like that, like do promos backstage for weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months and a year. And then we're not doing that anymore. It didn't get over. Oh, really? Your shitty, lazy writing didn't get this guy over? That's too bad. Anyway, Mojo Rawley's basically the evil version of Hype Bros Mojo. And he just comes out and he calls Kevin Owens pretty boy for some reason. But he wants to beat him up. And Kevin Owens is like, yeah, well, no, we have a no disqualification match right now, so let's do it then. And they do, but Mojo gets in a lot of offense on Kevin Owens, and this is the problem with your baby faces in WWE. They're making Kevin Owens a babyface, which is great. He's going to be excellent because he's really funny on the mic, and he's got really great ways of like twisting people's words in the moment around to on them. It's like I forget what Kevin Owens stated something. Mojo Rawlins stated the exact same thing back to Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens said, "Yeah, I just said that," which is just a great way of undercutting all of the crap that they're trying to stick in these stupid heels' mouths. But anyway. When now he's a babyface, he's got to fight from underneath all the time because he's got to be an underdog, and I'm fine with him being the underdog against guys who he should be the underdog to, namely like Seth Rollins and two giant dudes in suits. He's the underdog to those guys. He's not the underdog to Mojo Rawley. I'm sorry, he's just not. Mojo Rawley should have gotten in like 3 or 4 punches and then been out. It's Mojo Rawley, but he got in a lot of offense. Kevin Owens, there's some chair spots and some other stuff. At one point, I think Mojo tosses Kevin off the top rope onto some chairs. It looked really painful. I don't know why Kevin is taking these kind of bumps in a Raw match with Mojo Rawley. Like, can you imagine if he had actually really hurt himself? Like, it's chair bumps. Like, he could have cracked an elbow bone or something. And he's out for a bunch of months when he was getting really hot. Why are you doing bumps like this for Mojo Rawley on a taped Raw? All right, fine. He comes back, hits a stunner, and a power bomb through a table for the win. As he should. But after the match is the good stuff, because he gets on the mic and he says, "Hey, AOP and Seth Rollins, I know you're waiting backstage, and when I come back there, you're going to jump me from behind because that's what you guys do. So how about this? How about you come out to the ring, and if you're going to beat me up here in the ring in front of all these people, so at least somebody can get some entertainment value out of it. And tell you what, just to make sure that happens, I'm not leaving this ring until you do come out here and beat me up." And that was awesome. Again, he's playing against all the stupid tropes because not only are baby faces have to be underdogs, but they also have to be stupid. And the babyface normally would go backstage, and Charlie Caruso would stop them just beyond Gorilla and say, "Hey, what happened? What did you think about that match with Mojo Rawley? What do you have anything to say to the AOP and Seth Rollins?" And then Kevin was like, "Well, I just wanted to say, oh," and then he gets hit from behind and thrown into the clangy poles. And he's like, no clangy poles. Let's do it right out here in the ring where there are no clangy poles, where the poles don't clang. Let's, do it here. Maybe the clangy poles are North Poles this time of year. Cough drop number 1. Again, I apologize, but I cannot get through this without some lozenges. Yeah, so he did. He called him out. Kevin Seth Rollins is backstage watching it on the monitor, at this crazy angle that he's supposed to look at the monitors like this. And he and the AP come down to the ring and they do beat him up. I mean, Seth comes down to the ring and he's like, Kev, buddy, Kev. Just let bygones be bygones. We don't need to do this. And then, obviously he was lying because he's a lying liar who lies. And the AOP attack Kevin Owens. I think Kevin throws the first punch at Rollins or something like that. But he keeps getting up from the beatdown and attacking Rollins. And just shows that he's a great baby face because you root for him, and he's not taking the beating lying down. You know what I mean? Like, he's not overcoming the odds yet, but right now he's just like, he knows he's going to lose this battle, but he wants to take a piece of Seth with him, and I think that's admirable. I liked that. Hey, there's a little through line to the entire story, entire night. R-Truth showed up in New York City. I guess he had a letter. There was somebody wanted to meet him at the Dwayne the Rock Johnson Christmas tree. It was Rockefeller Center. Get it? The letter is in Japanese. It was sent by Akira Tozawa, who rolls him up and gets the pinfall. And then R-Truth runs with John Cone, the referee, follows Akira Tozawa all over the Manhattan. And at one point, Akira Tozawa hides behind a Christmas tree in a Christmas tree lot. And I mean, it's good, harmless fun. Except for then they run into a Santa, one of the ringy-dingy Santas, and the ringy-dingy Santa who's collecting almost for the poor, I guess. He rolls up Tozawa, and then Tozawa and Truth chase Santa for most of the night until Santa just falls over and Truth pins him. There's a great, there's a really great, actually a really funny spot. Again, this is an episode of Raw that beyond my wildest dreams was actually really good. Santa gets in a hansom cab, with the little things where like the horse goes for a stroll while pulling you at like a snail's pace through Central Park. He gets in one of those and says, move, and the driver, hitches him up, and they go off, and then R-Truth and Tozawa get in another one, and they follow that cab, and they're just going at the slowest pace possible until finally Santa just gets out and runs, and then Tozawa gets out and runs, and then R-Truth gets out and yells at the horse, "Bad reindeer!" It's funny, and he runs after Truth and Santa Claus, and then eventually Santa Claus gets a stitch in his side because he's fat. I know the feeling, and he falls down, and R-Truth pins him, and then the ref says, "I've been following you guys all over Manhattan. I'm tired. It's too cold for this. I'm leaving. I'm going home." Without a ref, you can't pin anybody. So R-Truth and Akira Tozawa form a truce. And if this is the beginning of this could be the beginning of a really good comedy pairing, because Tozawa's got a great sense of humor, and I think they're perfect for the bit I've been pitching for Tozawa and somebody forever. Han and Chewie. It's Star Wars is in theaters. I hear it's not great. Haven't seen it yet. No spoilers in the comments. Seriously. So R-Truth should be able to somehow understand what Tozawa is saying to him, and then he speaks English to Tozawa, who understands him, responds to Japanese, but somehow R-Truth understands it. I really got to be a really great way of just getting that comedy out there. Like Tozawa could say something really, really long, a long monologue of something in Japanese to R-Truth, said, "Yeah, but I thought that baby had it coming." I don't know, something like that. It'd be funny. I'm losing my mind here, people. It's crazy. I'm sick, and it's Christmas time. But honestly, the R-Truth stuff was good. It's the best. The 24/7 tonight was the best 24/7 championship has been in forever. And why? Pre-taped, edited, not in an arena, with characters that are actually funny, getting to do their own stuff. And it was good, as opposed to R-Truth somewhere in the arena and all the jobbers chase him. That's not funny. Like, this is funny. Just do more of these. The funny stuff that they did in the beginning, where Jinder Mahal, I think, won the title on a golf course and then got pinned, flying when he was asleep in business class. Those are funny. Do those. Anywho, Bobby Lashley had a match with Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander had a really great match, showed a lot. I really hope they utilize him a lot more in 2020 as an actual, member of the roster, and they don't forget about him after they did that thing where he pretended to be a janitor, I guess, at one point. Anywho, or they could do it. My personal favorite is just send him to NXT and let him wrestle Leo Rush for 14 minutes. The match was very good and competitive. Halfway through it, Lana got in the ring and was like, no, you're not allowed to beat him up because we're getting married next week on Raw. And that's what they're doing. They're getting married on TV next week on Raw. But she just kept talking and 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 talking about how I know she's a heel and we're supposed to not like her, but we're not supposed to say, if you make her open her mouth one more time, I'm turning the channel. That's not good healing. I don't like that. Nobody should like that. So anyway, that was in the middle of the match. And they went to commercial. They came back and there was a lot more match. Like they had a really good long match. The wrestling on the show, especially this match, was great. Lashley versus Alexander was actually a very, very good competitive match. But at one point, Lashley just said, "Enough of that." I hit him with this giant he choke slams them by their chest. You know, one of those things. Then he hits the spear. It's good stuff. Drew McIntyre defeated Zack Ryder fast, pretty quickly. After the match, he kept attacking Zack Ryder. So Kurt Hawkins, who was out there, tried to attack him. That didn't go so well for him. And then he cut a quick promo, thankfully not blaming the locker room for being lazy because of social media. He just said that 2020 is going to be the year of Drew McIntyre. And let me tell you, it had better fucking be. 2019 should have been the year of Drew McIntyre. That guy was white hot in November of 2018, and you just squandered all of that shit to make him play, second fiddle to Shane McMahon and crap. No. Pull the trigger on Drew McIntyre. He's big. He's strong. He's really charismatic looking. He's not terrible on the mic, and the accent actually adds a lot to his character. I don't understand why this guy's mired somewhere in the middle of the show, like squashing dudes. Like, put him in marquee feuds. He deserves it. He really deserves it. He'd be so good at the top of at the top of the card. Even problem is, at the top of the card is Brock. And you can't work with Brock because Brock only works with former MMA fighters and current boxers. Yee. Becky Lynch come out and cut a version of her promo from last week, the video interview or whatever it was. Saying that she knows that she's the face of the company, so they're trying to protect her by not making her look bad by having to lose to Asuka, which is why she needs to face Asuka. I like that. She called out Asuka, and the Kabuki Warriors came out and did half their talking in Japanese and half in English. Asuka saying she wants to become Asuka 2 belts. Then Becky Lynch told Asuka, let's name the time and the place. Let's do it. I mean, they haven't named it yet, but it's going to be Royal Rumble. It's going to be pretty great. But then she says, in case you didn't understand what I just said, here's something you will understand. And then she challenged her, said something in Japanese, which is great because Becky spent a long time in Japan. And I think it'd be excellent if she was able to be the one to actually understand the Kabuki Warriors. I want to say this. The Kabuki Warriors were introduced as being managed by Paige months and months and months and months before they ever got the titles. Asuka and Kairi saying, as far as I know, healthy that entire time. Now they are one of the best acts you have on any roster, Asuka and Kairi saying. It is inexcusable to me that you had them off TV for so very long when they are so very good. And all you had to do was put them on TV, give them matches, put the belts on them, and look at them shine. They're fantastic. But you didn't want to do that then. You wanted to do a bunch of crap. These women are too good to be kept off TV. I mean, they're just too good. Don't do it. Don't do it. Hey, this is pretty great. Remember that amazing match? One of my favorite matches of the entire year, Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy a couple weeks ago, TLC. Great match. It's my shit. I loved it. Aleister Black has a squash match today. But what I loved about this squash match is because the guy who's in the ring with him, I guess his name is Dion Rushman. He's in there. He's ready to go. He shows no fear. He rushes right at Aleister Black as soon as the match starts. He's not one of these dudes who they scraped up off the floor and put in there and fed to Eric Rowan. I'm watching this guy Dion Rushman. I feel like he wouldn't be scared of Eric Rowan. I'd like to see Eric Rowan face a guy who's not scared of him. You know, I mean, I don't know, whatever. I thought it was a good change of pace from normal jobbers who, you know, look like they don't belong there at all. This guy looked like he belonged there because he's, you know, an indie wrestler, apparently trained by Seth Rollins. But he ran straight at Aleister Black, who swept legs out from under him, hit him with a knee, hit him with a black mass. Done. And then Aleister Black is walking out, and Buddy Murphy enters. Now, I don't know where they got the second jobber from, because he didn't even get a jobber entrance. He was just in the ring. Like they pulled him out from under the ring or from out of the crowd, literally, because he didn't get an entrance at all. So I guess he was sitting there ringside. But yeah, this was great. And Aleister Black walking out, Buddy Murphy walking down, and then Aleister Black stays and watches as Buddy Murphy shakes hands with the dude, Joe Asa. No, please, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to. It's Joeasa. Joe Asa. Joeisa? I don't know. He shakes Buddy Murphy's hand. Buddy Murphy won't let go. Pulls him directly into a flash knee, and picks him up directly into his buddy Murphy's Law. Beats him faster than Aleister Black beat his guy. So Aleister Black walks down to the ring. He and Buddy Murphy stand there. Aleister Black puts out his hand. Buddy Murphy thinks better of it, walks past him, nudges past him. They're about to leave, turns around, was about to say something to Aleister Black. Aleister Black spins, hit him with a black mass. Now, he knocked him out with one black mass, which is what he did to him and how he beat him at TLC. Now, I like the continuity of that. I would have loved, and this whole segment would have been perfect if Buddy Murphy had turned around and saw the black mass coming and just avoided it barely. And then he got out of there and like, hey, now you're not going to get me with that a second time. And now we're like basically 1-1. Because the first time Aleister hit him with it, knocked him out, won the match. Second time, Aleister tries the kick, misses, and Buddy Murphy's like, see, now I know. I've figured it out. And now if I avoid that, I can beat you. Is what they should have done. But instead, they're doing the thing where Aleister Black can just catch him whenever he wants. Which doesn't give me hope for a long feud. I feel like, I don't know. But, hey, next Monday on Raw, we're going to have the Bobby Lashley and Lana wedding, which is going to suck balls. But we're going to have Buddy Murphy versus Aleister Black 2, which is going to be awesome and kick all kinds of ass. So, 6 and 1/2 dozen together. That's good. Ricochet has a match with Tony Nese. You may recall Last week, on Raw, Ricochet was in the gauntlet match that went forever. He was in the gauntlet match for the longest. He beat Tozawa in a long match, Hardy in a long match, and lost to Carrillo in a long match. And then later that same night, they said, "Hey, Ricochet, are you cool after having gone for 35 minutes? Why don't you go in there and have a match with Tony Nese, who's totally fresh?" And he beat him pretty handily. Like, Nese was going for the running Nese, his finisher. But Ricochet got up out of the corner and hit him with something, a super kick, and then hit him with the recoil, which is, I like that finisher, like it a lot. I would honestly like to see a Tony Nese versus Ricochet, like a full match. This was quick. I think that they worked really, really well together. There was a good sequence where each of them were trying their normal strikes, and each guy was like catching them by the foot, and then trying to, like, discard the foot and get into more strikes for themselves. I thought it was good. It was perfectly fine. Tony Nese is a better wrestler than this. Then what they're asking him to do is just lose to a guy who was not fresh at all that night, but whatever. Hey, so last week on Raw, Asuka faced a woman named Deonna Purrazzo, who's from NXT, who is excellent. She is being packaged in NXT, though they never had a tag match yet on TV, with Chelsea Green. They have the same font in their C and D. I guess and they might be calling that DC or CD. I'm not sure they're kind of calling them, but they're being packaged together. So this week, Chelsea Green has a match with Charlotte Flair, and I'm not kidding when I say this is one of my favorite Charlotte matches of all time. How could that be, you ask? Well, allow me to explain. Not a huge Charlotte fan. Not that I don't think she can work. I think she can. I think she's very, very talented. I don't love her matches because I think she relies too much on being the biggest and the strongest and a flair. So, all of her matches are based around intimidation. I can pick you up and throw you whenever I want. I'm very tall. I have a lot of incredible range. My limbs are so long I can kick you from much further away than you would be to me, and all that kind of stuff. And it's basically like her aura, her size, and also the fact that she's a Flair and kind of handpicked or whatever, mean that she always is fighting somebody who's a little apprehensive. Usually, anyway, it always feels that way to me, and I feel like it's a crutch that the agents rely on too much. Oh, she's Charlotte, so she's so confident, and everyone can see her confidence, and so they're going to be kind of tentative when facing her, and then she beats them because they're not actually, doing much. Chelsea Green doesn't give a shit. Chelsea Green looks to be about as tall as Charlotte Flair in the ring. She's not a slight woman. She can pretty much match Charlotte blow for blow. Charlotte thinks this woman can't measure up to her at all, and it shows. And they do this thing where Charlotte is disrespectful to Chelsea Green, and Chelsea Green hits her with a couple of pretty vicious moves. There's one in particular where she picks her up by her arms, holds her arms out behind her, like this, into the turnbuckles, and puts her foot against the back of Charlotte's head and just curb stomps Charlotte's face into the second turnbuckle. And it looks just vicious. Oh, it's so good. Then there's a running drop kick that was just it's good stuff. Chelsea Green, you haven't seen her wrestle before. She can do some stuff. This was great. And then she puts Charlotte in a headlock and just starts swinging her around. And while Charlotte's in the headlock, you could see her almost smile. And it's like, oh, this is going to be fun. I'm used to fighting people who are scared of me. You're not scared of me. This is going to be great because we can really hit each other now. Chelsea Green, was in control for a lot of the match, but I just loved the aura of Charlotte. Like, I get to play with somebody now. This is going to be fun. And every time she would lock in that headlock tighter, Charlotte was like, this is good stuff. I like this. Charlotte hits her with a big boot, puts her in the figure 8, taps out. But after the big boot, there was this look on Charlotte's face of like, all right, they don't pay me by the hour, and so I'm going to win this now. But Chelsea Green looked great, and it was a completely different kind of Charlotte that I was watching in that match. It just she looked like she was there again, like somebody had actually got her to wake up and said, okay, this is gonna be fun. Let's do this. I thought that was excellent. And Chelsea Green looked fantastic. As I said, looked like she was in control of the match. Absolutely belonged in that match with Charlotte. That was really good stuff. Now, NXT, you have an obligation to put Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green on your television show. They've already been on Raw and had really good matches against two of your top women on Raw. Now it's time. Put them on TV. Let them do stuff. They're very good. Not very good. I'm not really sure when it happened tonight, but there was another Liv Morgan thing. They're really leaning hard into this whole, like, I live in my bathroom thing. Like, she's there and there's candles everywhere and soft focus, and she's wearing a bathrobe, and she's talking about how I used to be so young and impressionable, but now I'm my own self. The person that everybody else is, blonde and heavily made up. Now I'm basically like Alexa Bliss, but with 20% more sultry on the dial turned up. Ooh. All right. I mean, I like individuality. What can I say? This does not feel like an individual thing, but maybe she's slow playing all of us, and she's gonna, come out and be something totally wacky. Maybe this is all a swerve. It's not a swerve, though, is it? Probably not. Hey, so OC defeated Phantom Randy Orton, the Viking Raiders. Wow, man, they're really trying to retcon this whole thing with the fucking OC, dude. Oh, look, if you know what happened between the OC and the Viking Raiders, the OC have several wins over the Viking Raiders. Like, that gauntlet match in Saudi Arabia does not fucking count. I do not care what you say. It doesn't count. It's a fucking gauntlet match and tag team turmoil match. It does not. It's not a real match. It's not. I mean, like, it's a gimmicky thing that you did to book them to have a giant trophy because they won't have a belt and whatever. Then they had a match. There was the KFC table match, and that went to a double count out or something, and that was stupid. Then they won one. They won one match versus them last week on Raw in a tag match, non-title match. You're retconning like 5 straight defeats they had to the Viking Raiders prior to Signs of Time. Like, those don't count. Those were like, what, preseason? Come on, guys. Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. There's not a cloud in the sky, fellas. Also, just don't piss on my leg. Regardless of whether or not you tell me it's raining, don't piss on my leg. Yeah, I don't. No. No, you can't say like, oh, the Viking, the OC, they've got the Viking Raiders number. Like in the series, they lost because they lost the first 4. They got swept. They also lost Game 5. Game 6 went to overtime and ended in a tie. They won Game 7. Again, that gauntlet match does not count. We're talking 2-on-2. Nothing else. No stupid gimmicky things. Nothing. So just regular tag matches. So in this match, they also are playing up the Randy Orton knee injury from last week. In his match with AJ, where he was in the calf crusher for a long time. And they keep working on it, but they keep doing the thing, like I mentioned before, where Randy Orton's, his knee's really messed up still after a whole week. I know he went to rehab he rehabbed his knee for a week, but that knee still looks pretty bad. Like, guys, we know, we know, we all know this was taped mere minutes, hours maybe. After there's I just stop lying to your audience. Anyway, AJ Styles pinned Orton after a phenomenal forearm. So this feud will continue. Again, this is my least favorite thing that's going on Raw right now. Basically because they could have given us Kevin Owens and the Viking Raiders versus Seth and DLP. Now, they're going to give us something else, and that's also going to be pretty fire, but we'll get to that in a second. First up, we got a squashy squash. Eric Rowan brings the damn cage out of the match. The guy is curious, and so he goes near the cage, and Rowan beats him up and does the Iron Claw to him a couple of times. And after the match, he slipped a candy cane into the cage. So whatever the thing is in the cage, it likes candy canes. So I guess that rules out anything. It rules out regular animals that could be in there because guess what? They don't eat candy canes. I mean, I hope it's a Mogwai. That's my thing. I hope it's a Mogwai. I mean, if they're going to do Mogwai, I should have done it tonight because, as you know, Gremlins is a Christmas movie. If Die Hard is a Christmas movie, then Gremlins is a Christmas movie. And if Gremlins and Die Hard are Christmas movies, then Addams Family Values is a Thanksgiving movie. Look it up. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Somebody keeps suggesting this on Twitter, and I like it. I don't think they're going to do it, but actually, it would be among the least offensively stupid things they could do. What if Eric Rowan's sheep mask is in the cage? I mean, that's better than whatever the hell they're going to do. So, I guess. Rusev came out. He did he's very over. People like him a lot now. I guess all he had to do is like split him up from Lana. And he talks about how he got mixed feelings about the divorce and whatever, but mostly he's just happy to be rid of Lana, which, you know, I would be too. Then he's got a match with Noe Ozawa. He wins with a macho kick really, really fast. But no hard feelings because the conga line, Noe Jose's conga line parties with Rusev afterwards. They even do like the conga girls give him kisses because he's single and ready to mingle, which is something he says in the YouTube and Twitter and WWE.com exclusive video interview. He talks about he's single and ready to mingle. Rusev even says, Hey, I got a girl kissing me on my right and a boy kissing me on my left. Nothing wrong with that. So hey, Rusev, LGBT ally, good for him. Yeah, that wedding go next week is going to be all kinds of crap. So earlier in the night, after the beatdown that they gave to Kevin Owens, Charlie Caruso accosts him in the hall and asks Seth Rollins, why are you insisting on doing these things to Kevin Owens? He's like, why am I insisting? I went out there and offered him an olive branch. I went out there and said, hey, let's put this all behind us. And Kevin Owens attacked me. Why don't you just ask him? Which, I mean, like, if we thought for a moment that Seth Rollins was sincere, he would have a point. But we don't think he's sincere. So, yeah. He's got a match versus Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio has a match, has a promo earlier in the night that I don't recall at all about the match. So yeah, it's fine. It's Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio for the first time ever. It feels like something you could do on a pay-per-view. Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio for the first time ever, one-on-one. Feels like a big-time deal, not a, what was it? 7-8 minute match that ends in a disqualification because his goons decided to get involved. I mean, it could have been something momentous, but it was not. So here's what I gotta talk about. Samoa Joe. He's like 40 now, I think. Over 40. I don't know how much longer he wants to be an active wrestler. But the very second that he hangs up the old boots and doesn't wrestle anymore, he needs to find some commentary desk that will make him lead color guy, because he is fan fucking tastic as a color man. God damn it, he's so good. He's been nothing short of a revelation since he joined the announce desk. He's so good. After the initial beatdown of Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins and AOP leave, and he's talking about AOP, and he's talking about these men. These are bad men, man. You got to deal with them. I know about being a bad guy. I'm a bad man. I come from a long line of bad men. My father was a bad man. I know about that, but that's not these guys. These guys are thugs. The only way to deal with them is you got to strike first, strike hard. He doesn't say show no mercy, but Cobra Kai forever. But basically, like, you got to put them down before they put you down. Because if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. There was such intensity behind it. It was one of the most badass moments of wrestling analysis by a color announcer I've ever heard. So good. God, it was so good. Then, hours later, they've decided to beat down Rey Mysterio. By the way, really excellent, vicious tag team maneuver by AOP, where they get Rey up in the wheelbarrow position, and I think it was Ray Zars got him up in the wheelbarrow position, and Occam grabs him behind the head and just slams his face right in the barricade. God, that looked friggin' great. Ooh, that was good. It was nice. And so they're dragging him up onto the stage. Seth Rollins directing traffic, and they drag him over to the announce desk. I need to stop what I'm talking about here and go back to something. Here's why they should just eventually do Vic Joseph and Samoa Joe in a booth together. That's it. Because Jerry Lawler, get him the hell off of commentary again. Talked about it last week, this week. He does a joke. during the Chelsea Green match, where he says that he talked to Chelsea Green and he wanted to see if she would kiss him under the mistletoe. Samoa Joe interrupts, tries to get him off of the subject. Later, like seconds later, King goes back to the old same well. Joe again tries to get him off subject, but he finishes the joke. He says, I asked Chelsea if she would kiss me under the mistletoe. She said, I wouldn't kiss you under anesthesia. That's not funny, Jerry. I mean, I would say not anymore, but it was never funny. Because what you are describing is sexual assault. Nobody kisses you when they are under anesthesia. They are unconscious. And if you kiss them, they don't know it's happening, and that's sexual assault. Samoa Joe knows what you're going to say, and he's trying to get you off of that joke so you don't get yourself in trouble. Take the hint. Anyway, back to this moment where they're dragging Rey Mysterio's apparently lifeless body over to the announce desk. And Vic Joseph and Jerry Lawler clear out. And Samoa Joe's sitting there like this. What? What? You want me to move? He's still wearing his headset, so we get to hear all of this. You want me to move? No. Why should I move? No. Okay, fine. I'm going to get up. But I'm warning you. If I get up, it's not to move. If I get up, it's both your asses. God damn, that's fucking badass. Oh, so good. If I get up, it's both your asses. And he's sitting there, nonchalant, in a chair, these two towering figures above him. If I get up, it's both your asses. And you believed him. Oh, it's so fucking great. God damn it, I love Samoa Joe. He has everything, man. He's got everything. God, I love him. I wish he was 5 years younger. I wish he was. Because I just don't think they're going to really do anything with him. I love this moment to death. I don't think they're going to do anything with it. Anyway, he stands up and he takes off his blazer, his sport coat. And the crowd goes nuts because they love Samoa Joe and they want him to beat up the AOP. So Seth comes over and Seth says, Hey, hold on. We don't want any violence here. Come on. No, just listen. Put your jacket back on. It's going to be fine. Let's not do this. Appearing to have placated Samoa Joe enough, he turns around, walks past his very large cohorts, and says, finish him. So they beat him down. Samoa Joe tries to fight back, but it's the damned numbers game. They beat him down, pick him up, and put him to the table. Now, let me tell you how much I loved all of this. Samoa Joe is a bad man. We know he's a bad man. We know it. We've seen it. We know his career. We know what this is. Also, he's been on commentary talking shit about AOP and how they are bad dudes. You do not want to let them get the upper hand because then they're going to run amok and you got to put them down right now while you still have the chance. He's been saying that kind of shit for weeks and over and over and over again. We know that he has those thoughts about these two guys. We know that ahead of time. So when he does this, it all feels perfectly in character. Also, everything that he said has led from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. It's all built perfectly to this moment where they come at him and he says, what? You want me to move? I'm telling you, if I get up, it's both your asses because we've known that's what's going to happen. We've seen it happen. There's been a progression in the storyline. This should not be a rare thing. All storylines should have progression. This one just happens to have perfect progression to a great climactic moment where they put him through the table. Compare and contrast this to weeks ago, where Dio Madden stood up to Brock Lesnar when Brock Lesnar was getting in the face of Jerry the King Lawler. It just read like guy simply, I don't like bullies. Just like I don't like bullies. Jay, stop talking to him like that. Like just as a good Samaritan might on a subway when, you know, some people are picking on somebody, you know, down the car, you'd say, hey, cut it out. Like, that's it. Not that you have any real stake in the measure, just that you are an honorable type who would stick up for anybody in this situation. Now, that's kind of cool, but we had no prior knowledge of who Dio Madden was, really, before he got this short-lived, it would seem, Raw commentary gig. I don't know. We didn't see a lot of interaction, really, between him and Lawler. It wasn't like, hey, Lawler, you seem like maybe you could be a mentor figure to me. That didn't seem to be like something that was really pushed as an angle. Also, I didn't see that he had a real problem with Lesnar up until this particular moment. It just felt like a thing that they could do where, like, Lesnar could F5 a really big guy through a table. And Dio Madden has now gone back to NXT and is, you know, I guess preparing to debut there on TV. But because the gesture itself of Dio Madden felt kind of empty, kind of like just a thing that he did, as opposed to a progression in the storyline, it didn't have the same weight to it. This had friggin' weight to it. This was so damned great. And it would have been even better if we hadn't had that first attempt at this basic same idea with Dio Madden standing up to Brock Lesnar for no real reason, and then basically just never appearing back on TV again. If we didn't have that just happened a couple of months ago, it would put this in an even greater, like, more stark light and make it even better, which is why I always say that WWE can't help themselves. They just tell the same stories over and over and over again. I mean, I almost feel like somebody probably pitched it like, hey, you remember that thing that Dio did where he stood up to Brock? Let's do that with Samoa Joe and Authors of Pain. And it's like, oh, yeah, that'll work. Do that. Without any realizing how great Samoa Joe is going to make it, because he's so fucking good at talking and just menace. And now it appears as we're going to get righteous babyface Kevin Owens and righteous babyface Samoa Joe. Two things I never thought we would say about those two guys. And I guess Rey Mysterio, who, by the way, got stomped after this whole thing by Seth Rollins on the stage. So KO and Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio versus Seth and AOP appears to be the where we're headed, and I'm not entirely opposed to that. Somebody says, you know, because I'm responding to this kind of thing in real time on the Twitters. Somebody saying, "Oh God, I love Samoa Joe so much. He's so great. They should make him the champion." I was like, yeah. Somehow I just don't think that's going to happen. And I think the best thing that he's going to do now is put over some young guys on his way out of wrestling and into the commentary booth for good. Because let me tell you, they had the chance to do something with him a few years ago. He man, remember when they did Great Balls of Fire? Remember that wacky guy Vincent Kennedy McMahon and how He decided to name a pay-per-view after a song that was 60 years old. Yeah. Anywho, at that pay-per-view, they had Samoa Joe go one-on-one with Brock Lesnar, and he made you believe going into that match that he had a real shot at knocking off Brock Lesnar. Just kidding. He got F5'd once and he went down. So I mean, like they've had opportunities to put Samoa Joe over, but they haven't. And also, he's been injured quite a lot on his main roster run, which is unfortunate. Like not chronic stuff, just broken hand here and ankle, I think somewhere. And it's just like, God dang it! I really wish that they had pushed him when he first got to the main roster because he deserved it. At this point, I think maybe we get like a short U.S. title run with him, which would be kind of cool. But maybe we'll make him tag champs, he and KO. That's the problem. Is like you need AOP to take the tag belts off of the Viking Raiders so that KO and Samoa Joe, so I guess we'll call them some KO, so that some KO could take the titles off AOP. But I just don't see any of that happening, unfortunately. So what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now is, next week we got the Bobby Lashley and Lana wedding. That's going to suck. And Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy, which is not going to suck. And then, some more stuff with the Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe and KO and AOP storyline. I'm super into that. That's all really good. Into it. Love it. So yeah, I don't know what to expect in the new year for Raw. I mean, they've got all the pieces on the roster ready to do some great stuff. Are they gonna? It seems like they never do. So while I have reason to be optimistic in when looking at the roster, I have no reason to be optimistic when I look at their past decision making and promises and stuff like that. It's just nah. So yay. This is probably going to be one of the better episodes of Raw that I ever review on Sour Graps. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah. And a joyous Kwanzaa. Happy holidays to everybody, whatever you're celebrating at this time of year. This has really been a treat getting to start this a couple of months ago, the Sour Graps. I've had a lot of fun doing it. I get really good feedback from you guys about it. I love to hear from fans of the show, from the Fightful Faithful. It's a really great thing to be able to do. I love being able to talk to you guys about stuff that I hate. And if you want to hear me talk about stuff that I love, tune in on Wednesdays. Not this Wednesday because it's Christmas, but most Wednesdays where I talk to Sean Ross Sapp and Warren Hayes about how awesome NXT and AEW are. I'll be back this time-ish on Friday to talk about SmackDown and how that went. I got merch. If you get any, if Santa brings you some cash in your stocking, I don't know how you would buy anything online with cash, but if you want to put that cash in the bank, then you could use your bank card to go on shop.fifle.com and buy my merch. That'd be nice because with every shirt you buy, Daddy gets a little taste. Which would be nice. Always nice to get a taste. So yeah, this has been Raw, and it's also been Sour Graps, and I have been Alex Pawlowski. And normally everything sucks, but tonight, like only about 40% sucked.